do agree that they follow a line, they don't support a correct argument, the Cyprus people is, I should say, admiring, respecting, loving Israel. The fact that the Cyprus government, in spite of all pressures, and the friends of the Israeli government present here know the pressures exerted on the Cyprus government, either to close embassy or to send out Israeli people, etc. The fact that we have, and we are proud to have, the best that Israel can have in people, in representatives of the state, in Cyprus, a little country, where, I must tell you, something that perhaps they never said it, they have one of the most difficult times of their life. No ambassador, and Zev Dover experienced it very bad. If my friend Aharon Lopez is today much better, there was a time that, of course, my friend Yitzhak Navon lived the best of it. Then everybody was friendly to Israel and nobody dared, and the doors of the presidential palace was open. Zev Levin was a persona grata everywhere, and later ambassador the same. But I am sure that the fact that we have in Cyprus the Cypriot people themselves who are admiring, respecting, and I should say, do love the Israeli spirit and the way it is, Cyprus one day will be closer to Israel. So I will conclude saying thank you very much, dear President and Managing Director of the ZIM, for organizing this. And thank you very much, my dear friend Aharon Lopez, for being the gentleman against my will pushing this thing. And thank you very much, my dear Lee, for bringing Elal greetings and presence here. Thank you all for being here. Let me thank the Israeli government through Itzik Lior for his wonderful address. We do our duty. We do nothing but our duty towards a country that we feel it has been created to house people in the diaspora for over 2,000 years. And it is my personal and my friends' opinion that this state, which has been created the way it has been created, definitely we have to respect, love, and work for. Thank you very much.
Dear Papa, dear friends, allow me to take the liberty to add a few words, and I hope that I have encouraged some other friends here to join me in telling some of their experience. With Papa in different chapters of their and his life. The first people that we have met in Cyprus after landing in Larnaca were Papa and Lela. And you know, to meet always the first people that you meet when you come to a new place, they leave the most impressive impact on you. And I have to tell you, quite as simple as it sounds, that I wish that every ambassador in our service, to have such a privilege, to have a friends like Lela and Papa. That's a combination. I think if you will add together all the experience of all our ambassadors in Cyprus, you will get a beautiful mosaic of a combination of such a friendship, of an excellent guide, excellent teacher, as I've said already in previous occasion, excellent diplomat. And we diplomats, I think, have a lot to learn from you, Papa. And I've learned a lot from you. And I think to have such a privilege, to have a person like you giving the right advice in the right moment, and as we know, there is never a dull moment, neither in Cyprus nor in other places. And allow me just to share with you a short story that I think we all can learn a lot about Papa. He just had the, should I say, the pleasure, or anyhow the opportunity to witness one of those wild demonstrations in front of the embassy. If I'm not mistaken, it was 27th of February last year. And he was trapped at the embassy. He couldn't go out, so he was looking through the window, looking out at the mob. And although most of them were foreigners, I mean, were not Cypriots, were foreigners. And this what and then you could see how, I mean, there was a combination of anger, of some kind of feeling of offended, I mean, insult, and maybe also shame for those few Cypriots that were among them. Because he was very angry to see the import of such a violence to Cyprus, I mean, to a civilized society that, of course, they don't have to agree with everything what Israel is doing, but that there is a civilized way to express opposition to any kind of opinion or deed or whatever, but in a cultured way, not in such a violence way as he saw through the window. And the next morning, he was very quick to write a very, very strong and impressive letter to the editors that was published in Cypriot press, in which he really expressed his opinion about it. And his anger about the import of such a methods that are not accepted by the Cypriot people. Again, I don't want to talk too much, but I think, again, if I should repeat, that it is such a privilege, such a unique privilege to have you as our family in Cyprus, with all what it means. I would like to express our love, the love of all members of our family, to both of you. And I'm sure that I shall enjoy, and many, many other ambassadors that will come after me, your friendship, your advice, your guidance. We love you. Bye-bye. The microphone is here, and I suggest that whoever will
Here's Barnabas and Lella's here. First of all, hello? I just want to say a few words because there's so much to be said, and let us digest it in a few sentences which actually reflect what has been said before and perhaps add a little bit of an extra dimension. First of all, I want to tell you that you enjoy love in this country. That is not only friendship. That is not only a common interests which are being pursued. This is not only I scratch your back, you scratch my back. There is a combination that is love, which is a distillation of appreciation, of respect, and of emotion on the human level. I want to tell both of you and to your family that all those who know you salute you. We salute you because you are staunch, Cypriot patriots. And you understand us, what it means to be an Israeli patriot under very, very complex, complicated, and trying circumstances. As far as those of us who have had the privilege of serving our country in your country, our closest neighbor at the time, we had no relations with Egypt yet. What it meant to us to have a person, a man like you, a distinguished Cypriot citizen and personality, well known throughout the island, the acting mayor of the most important city at the time of the island, Famagusta, the representative of our lines of communication to the open world and the air and on the sea. What it meant to us to have not only somebody who understands, somebody who is a staunch Cypriot patriot and at the same time a staunch friend of the state of Israel and its aspiration. What it means to us and what it meant to us to have not only the friendship and the hospitality and the warmth and the education that we got from you about your country, but also the sound counsel. And what I say now is not a compliment, my friend. It is the truth. There were difficult moments, and there was one man I could talk to, and I got a very sound, a very sober, and a very correct advice and counsel. That I will not forget. If you combine the two, the warmth, the hospitality, the friendship, and the love, with your position in your own community, with your patriotism, with your dedication to the future of the unification of the country, and the sound counsel that we received and which helped us get over very difficult, critical moments where it was touch and go. I won't say more than that. We'll never forget you. And so I would like to wind up my short remarks by saying, on behalf of Fariza and myself, we're privileged to be counted amongst your friends. That we wish you on your birthday, according to the Jewish tradition, till 120, in the best of health with your lovely wife, with your children, with your grandchildren, and maybe come and visit you one day. When your problems are solved, and you reside in the townhouse of Famagusta, where you want to go.
לך מיקרופון, מה הולך שם? מי מדבר?
I don't know if this goes according to age. If it goes according to age or according to when.
Beauty.
Oh, according to beauty. Thank you. First of all, I want to say that I'm very, very pleased and very honored to be here because I'm out of these public things nowadays. And as you heard Papa speak before, he told you that I'm from Kibbutz Ein HaShofet. And my husband and I and my two children went to Cyprus in order to help work for the Joint. My husband worked for the Joint together with Moshe Laub, and he died many years ago. And I was merely there to do all the other things. I want to tell you something which perhaps many people don't know, but people my age do know this. Even at that time, 42 years ago, when so many Jews were kept behind barbed wire, when they were not allowed to leave, when they had to stay inside, it was Papa who helped us buy the food for the children, who helped us help the inmates of the camps, who were Jews who came from Europe, and you know under what conditions they came. I lived outside the camps, but my son, who was 6 years old at the time, studied in the camps, and my daughter was 2 years and a half old, and I used to come with her and bring some of the captains who came with the ships. I'm sorry I didn't know you then, but for instance Ike, I used to bake a cake and go, and then the British would ask, for whom is this? And I would say, oh, it's my daughter's birthday. Well, one of them said, you know, your daughter seems to have a birthday party every 2 weeks. But this is what happened. We tried to help, and Papa was the person who helped us on the Joint. Unfortunately, nobody else could come here to tell the stories. I felt it was my duty, since my husband died, and since Moshe Laub is in America, and he himself wrote a book on the Cyprus camps, but it's a readable book, but it doesn't have the facts. I helped one of the boys who was in the camp and who is now a teacher. The Hebrew University in Jerusalem gave him an opportunity to write a book. He went to England, and now all the things of the British Army, of course, are open, and he read and studied the things and wrote a book about the camps of Cyprus. And there's some amazing things there that I found. He wrote the book, he got the scholarship, and he got his doctorate. And I found out from this book, only from this book, that the British soldiers who didn't let us leave the Jews out of the camp, that they didn't really hate, they didn't know what was going on. Why were the Jews kept behind barbed wire? They asked that. Why were the Jews kept behind barbed wire? Why weren't they allowed to go wherever they wanted to go? Hadn't they suffered enough in Europe? Hadn't they suffered enough of the Nazis? And we found this out only when the books were opened of the British Army, and when this man wrote the story that he wrote, and the facts that he wrote. But let's get back to Papa. Papa Vassiliou continued to remain our friend, and he comes to visit every now and then in Ein HaShofet. And for every holiday, the man who attends to all the mail that comes in says, Pnina, I want you to know that there's another holiday on the way. You have a telegram from Papa Vassiliou. He remembers and he sends it, and he is always welcome to come and visit us. Of course, I don't know most of you, because most of you are much younger and did not go through the things that I went through. But it's a great honor for me to be here. And I've also brought you something that is made in Ein HaShofet, and I hope that you will enjoy it and like it. It's just a present, some of the things that we make, and I will give it over to you. And I wish you, as we all say in Hebrew, Ad Me'ah V'Esrim, till 120, both of you, and good luck to you.
May I adhere with some few words on behalf of the World Zionist Organization External Relations Department, and on behalf of Sarah, the Deputy Director of the department, and myself. We are related to Mr. Papa Vassiliou because he is very obviously the chairman of the Cyprus-Israel Friendship League. And the hope I want to express, and I want to be very practical here, that perhaps the Israel-Cyprus Friendship League, which did exist in the past, and sorry the chairman died, and she is not practically existing at this moment, we will do any effort to establish this league again, because it has to be reciprocity. The reciprocity obviously do exist in the heart of people, but it must express itself also in more knowledge in our public about Cyprus, about the problems, and obviously about the relation between Cyprus and Israel. And this is, we spoke about this point. It's not easy because, but now I'm seeing here many people which are very well acquainted with Cyprus, and they have some past and they live in Cyprus. I think they can be perhaps the nucleus of such an organization, and I think we will think it over tomorrow when you will visit our office. Perhaps we will speak more about this point. We have also, I must confess, that Sarah had prepared a very beautiful attention for you, but we simply didn't know that this is the opportunity to give you, and we'll give it tomorrow. It's a, you can say what it is,
We have inscribed you in the Golden Book of the Keren Kayemet.
Yes. And since such an inscription went through some bureaucratic procedure, you will not believe that we're improvising at this moment. The diploma is ready. Okay. I simply adhere. I'm sorry, as I say to this gentleman, I'm only 16 years in this country, and all what happened in Cyprus, I heard about it very far in South America. I can only say that what happened there, and also the cooperation of Cyprus people, was well known for what opinion, even in very far places. And there are people until this very day who remember it with pride and with emotion. So we will not forget what you did, and we will not forget what we're going to do in the future.
If you allow me, I'll talk seated. I'll introduce myself. My name is Ori Peter. I'm a physician at the Rambam Hospital. And all this table, all of it belongs to the Rambam family. And we are very near, we are much nearer the new Foreign Office people. We are just 140 nautical miles across the water from Cyprus. So we've got great affinity. So Mati, Aaron, Agana, Papa and Leila, distinguished guests, I'd like to say a few words that other people didn't say, and I apologize that we are a bit marginal to this august audience here. Most of you are diplomats, are shipping people, or magnates almost, and airline people. And this is highly significant because, like Cyprus, Papa, we're an island. We are a political island. Most people in Jerusalem don't realize it, but we are an island. And we have all the misfortune and all the greatness and all the problematics of an island. But islands create great people. I gave you a list when we were in Nicosia last time of the great people that Mediterranean island gave birth to. I'll say only one word, that El Greco was from an island. And I have a whole list, but I won't repeat it here. And for us in Israel, you and Leila are beginning to assume almost mythological proportion. Everyone mentions you, talks about you, and you're becoming very influential. I can assure you one thing, and the people from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will attest to it. No Israeli leader is as loved as you. Now, why this great affinity? There are many reasons, and part of it is because we Jews have very few friends. We sense it acutely that we have few friends. We know it, and we'll live with it. But there is an additional angle. Most of us Israeli are Hellenophiles. We love Greece, really. And unfortunately, we feel it in the mainland, less in the islands. But in the mainlands, we are losing altitude. And we are not liked even by people in the street. And I say by trying to raise a dialogue. I don't see it in the islands, and I don't see it, of course, in Cyprus. So we have like an unrequited love with Greek culture. And here with you, we have so much affinity, and you are Greek Orthodox, and it was so good to go with you not only to all the interesting places, but also to the monasteries and see your relation to the culture. I will not repeat the moving pilgrimage with you to Famagusta, which almost reminded me of our Moses, who saw Jerusalem, who saw Israel, but couldn't reach it. I hope you'll make it one day, and we'll celebrate then and there. Now, my personal love affair with Cyprus is twofold. First, as a young sportsman, I took a boat and reached Cyprus many times, and I reached you with Yaakov Nitzan many times. You didn't know me, you didn't know much Yaakov Nitzan, but you accepted us as sons, and it was lovely to do that. Later on, my friend Ami Barzelan and me, we tried to open our field, which is artificial kidney and kidney transplantation. We tried to do it in Cyprus. First of all, and Papa is deeply involved in that, showing a humanitarian side of his, an additional humanitarian side of his, and this is common to the three of us. The first patient who got the help of the artificial kidney in Cyprus, and the first Cypriot who needed a kidney, a natural kidney transplant, got it at the Rambam. And this was many years ago. And then we did what one should do. We took young Cypriot physicians, raised them here, gave them the edge and the urge and sent them to the USA. And they spent in the USA many years and then returned home. And one became the best cardiologist in the island. He was the cardiologist of Makarios. He was raised here, and he's an Israelophile and part of your group. The other one, it was more difficult with him. He's a kidney transplant surgeon called George Kyriakides. It was very difficult to bring him home. It was too good, too large, and Cyprus seemed small. And Pata and I went to the several Ministry of Health people and to the minister himself several times. It took us many, many years until George returned home. And he returned home with great pride, great success. And I'm afraid to say, and unpleasant to some of my youngsters, we can now learn a lot from George. And I'm going to bring George here to teach us because he overtook us. God bless him for that. And there are many lessons that we can learn from you, we, the country of miracles. When the Turks came in 74, 30 of you became refugees. Within short time, they were refugees no more. And this is an example that should be shown everywhere here, because others immortalized the problem, and you solved it within a very, very short time. 2,000 of you went missing, and no one knows what happens to them. And I know that this is one of the